What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Fast Life Podcast. We have a great show with Hotdog Kustoms. This dude is one of the baddest custom painters of our time, in my opinion. Out of Temecula, California, the dude's been a part of the motorcycle and custom hot rod, mini truck. He's just, if it can be painted, he has put his hands on it. He's put his swag on it, if you will. But before we get into this, I'd like to let you guys know about Simpson motorcycle helmets. These guys kick ass. They make some badass helmets that I personally wear, and you guys should already know that. And you can check them out at simpsonmotorcyclehelmets.com, as well as Simpson Motorcycle Helmets on Instagram. I'd also like to take a quick second to talk about S&S Performance. These guys are new to our podcast and new to my bike, and I'm looking forward to all the times and rides I'm going to be having with their products. S&S has everything you need to crank out power from your motorcycle's engine, from exhaust systems to air cleaners and everything in between. Check them out at sscycle.com and on the gram at sscycle. Lexan Moto has an intercom system for you, the all-new Lexan G16. It's a group rider's long-awaited answer to an affordable intercom system. With a 16-rider comm system, Bluetooth 5.0 music sharing, it'll keep your group connected while traveling together. This is another great product from the team at Lexan, geared at making motorcycle rides and travel more enjoyable. Check it out at lexan-moto.com, where you can apply the Fast Life offer code, which saves you 15%. And as always, you can rest assured that Lexan has your back with the best customer service in the industry. Thundermax EFI has your EFI equipped Harley-Davidson covered with their high quality auto tuning ECMs. Been running their products for years and thousands of miles, and they continue to give me the optimal performance out of my bikes. Paired with their oil cooler fan, which is available for the M8 touring models, my bike has been running strong at a desirable temperature for years. You can check out these products at shoptmax.com, where you can use the offer code FASTLIFE to save yourself 10% off these great products at shoptmax.com, and follow these guys on Instagram at thundermaxefi. I'd also like to thank Electric Lighting Co. They have your bike covered from headlight to taillight with a ton of LED lighting options for many different Harley-Davidson models. All lighting is backed by great warranties and plug-and-play options, so you can't go wrong with making the switch or stepping up to Electric Lighting Co. NAM's Custom Cycle Products since 1999 has been offering American-made wiring products for all things V-twin, and Badlands for over 30 years has been offering the most reliable and dependable lighting modules in the USA. Backed by a lifetime warranty, you can find out more about these great companies at namscustomcycleproducts.com. And you can drop the FL 2021 offer code, which gives you free shipping on orders over $100. Yo, thank you guys for checking this out again. Like I said, this is the second episode on our trip, or my trip that I just took. And I want to thank another quick shout out to Lucky Days for the help in making these podcasts possible. You guys need to check out Lucky Days on Instagram and luckydays.com. They got the best seats, for me, my opinion, in the game, and some of the coolest looking risers and other products coming. They're doing badass shit. Also, yeah, man, good episode. Hot Dog is just his shop, his art, his willingness to give up this information and show guys like myself the ropes in the custom paint world. Really enjoyed it. Enjoyed my time with him. Enjoyed to finally get to meet him and have a personal relationship, if you will, with him. And yeah, this podcast is my first time meeting this guy, so you're gonna get to meet him with me. Anyway, here is Hot Dog. Let's check it out.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
And then the guy who's the guitar tech for the guitar player called me like 2 days later and he goes, "I heard you like the Cult, man. We want to come to your shop and check it out."
Oh, that's
so
badass.
It was rad, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
stuff can come from that.
So yeah, man. So yeah, we're actually rolling now.
Oh, cool.
I like to sneak it up.
So
on
don't
people.
say fuck anymore.
Yeah. But no, it's like I said, I've always wanted to talk to you. I didn't know what you looked like for a long time, and then I finally saw pictures of you. I was actually talking to John Jackson, and SEMA 2019. I think you got the award for the the mini truck stuff.
Yeah. The Hall of Fame thing.
Yeah, and I was there at the little meetup when John, I guess, was announcing it for you or whatever.
He inducted me.
And then I ran into you at the Sherman Williams booth. I think you were hanging out with you were talking to like a Buck or one of those guys. Yep. And I was like, I couldn't make it. I was like, is that him? You know what I mean? And then finally, I talked to
Wasn't
John.
that other guy, that guy Joe from Texas was there, I think?
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so now, like I said, that's my story.
Well, good to meet you, man.
No, so like I said, you've been in this industry forever, you know, and it's crazy that you've been able to be a part of so many different parts of it, you know, from the mini truck stuff that was of the 90s, and I don't know when that started for you, but, you know, how was that, like, going into all that type of shit, into paint? Like, what got you into this?
Well, the thing that got me into paint totally is when I was in high school in art class.
Yeah.
I had a super cool teacher who had airbrushes, but it wasn't part of the class. So if you finished your regular work, he would let you mess around with airbrushes. So that kind of got the whole thing started. And I started painting T-shirts for teachers. And then right out of high school, I got a victim of sexism, I guess. I went to go try to get a job at a T-shirt painting place down by the beach. And the guy told me, I only hire cute girls.
Oh, shit.
So I got shot down. And then I went and I started, working on surfboards. Okay. So I painted surfboards for 2 years right out of high school.
That's got to be a big business out here. In this
it was huge, except at that time, which was like 1980, 1981, there wasn't much money in it. I think it was like $15 to paint a surfboard. And I didn't surf. So there was times when I would come to work in the morning, and it was a couple times a week mostly, that there would be a note on the door that said, "Waves are good, we'll be back later."
Oh, shit.
So if there's no shapers, there's nothing to paint. So I said, screw that.
Got out of that?
Yeah, and then just progressed to cars and bikes.
Well, being here in SoCal, I mean, there's just so much opportunity with the hot rod culture that's always been booming here.
Yeah.
Did you just kind of go into a collision part of the thing, or what other path did you go from the surfboards?
Well, right after the surfboards, I actually took a junior college course, a body shop class, and while I was there was a note on the board that said, Toyota Carlsbad, which is a collision repair shop, was hiring. So I went and got hired there, and I learned a lot there. Like, anybody that paints should work in a busy production shop. Yeah. To learn all these little cool tricks and stuff. But as I was there doing that, I was doing custom stuff on the weekends and making more on the weekends than I would all week there. Yeah. And then just took off from there and went and did my own thing.
Yeah, I feel like around that time too, probably in the 80s, the conversion vans and those kind of paint jobs they were doing on that stuff was, I know a lot of people in the Midwest were learning how to do that type of stuff. Yeah. Working at a place where they would do the van, where they'd do the higher top. Yeah. And then they'd have to have all these graphics kind of flowing through the van,
Yeah, here I kind of got into it when that was going out, and the mini trucks were just coming in at the dealerships, and they were doing the same kind of graphics, just the quickie, two tones and stripes down the side, and then selling them on the lot. And, maybe a mural on the tailgate of an ocean scene.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know they did that out of the dealerships. That's wild.
Yeah, they were selling them right from the dealership. They'd put wheels on them, not slammed or nothing, but just customized, because you could throw it in the loan, and it's way cheaper, just like they do now with the bikes.
Yeah, that's wild, man, because, the mini truck thing, like, that was a little bit before me. I think the height of it, or not necessarily the height, but just when it really started grabbing, teenagers and shit like that. Yeah. I think the lowrider culture captured me a lot more, because in Texas, we just had more of that vibe in the Dallas-Fort Worth area than we did, at least to my knowledge of the mini trucking thing, or at least that's just the neighborhoods I lived in. You know what I mean?
No, that's part of SoCal thing too. Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, this is the capital of the world, I think, for what I do. But it's hard to do it here nowadays. Yeah. But man, every weekend there's a half a dozen things going on, whether it's hot rods or lowriders or mini trucks or motorcycles.
What was after that? I mean, you just did that for how many years before, like, the skills got there, or more or less, and started opening up the opportunities? When did it get to a point where you were able to get a job at, like, West Coast Choppers like that? You know what I mean?
Well, I worked at a couple of different shops and learned the things. And like I tell people all the time, learn everything. Yeah. Don't get stuck on, I'm just a painter, or I'm just a pinstriper, or I just do sign painting. Try to learn all of it.
Yeah.
Because it definitely helps. But I was working at a couple different shops, had my own thing going here and there, and the whole West Coast Chopper thing came when I was working at a shop here in Escondido called Hot Rods and Custom Stuff. And a friend of mine was the garage manager for Monster Garage at the time and said, hey, we need someone to come up here and audition for the guy that does the drawing at the beginning. Not a builder or nothing.
Yeah.
So I went up and did that, and then I told him, well, shoot, man, I want to be on the show too. And he said, can you do this other stuff? And I said, yeah, I can do all the fabrication too. So that got that going. But while I was on the show, they do this part called Monster Profile where they highlight you. And I had driven in a 32 sedan that I painted, and everybody's looking at it, and Jesse had said, did you paint this thing? And I said, yeah. You painted the whole thing? And I said, yeah. And he goes, I'm going to build you a shop. And that's where that started.
Damn.
So it was 8 years there full time.
Damn. Yeah. How was that, like just doing those bikes?
It was awesome.
I mean, you probably worked with a lot of other artists. I remember around that time too was like didn't they work with like Mike LaValle and things like that on like the real fire jobs?
Jesse had seen his stuff somewhere and then had him do his black Chevy pickup for his shop truck. And then he came down a few different times and did some bikes and did a dragster. But yeah, it was cool working with everybody.
I miss those days when real fire was real popular because it's such good money.
It is. It's super easy. And it's bang for your buck for sure.
Yeah. So, but yeah, what was that like working there in the height of the chopper culture, motorcycle growing the way it did in that, late 90s, early 2000s? What was it like for you just painting all these bikes and all the media surrounding it all,
It was awesome. Well, that shop was pretty locked down during the day.
Yeah.
We were behind big gates, so we didn't see a lot of stuff going on, but we got to work on cool stuff all the time. It was cool. There was like nothing you could do wrong at that time.
That's cool.
Line of customers waiting to get stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Like I said, it's just a little bit before, because I graduated from high school in 01. So, I started kind of finding my path around 02, 03, you know what I mean? And then I got my job. I grew up in a body shop. So my dad was a painter. I was stripping cars in the summer, things like that. So I didn't really want to do this shit for a living.
Yeah.
And then, it was, I worked at Walmart for a while changing oil because I wanted to do something besides paint.
Sure.
And then in Dallas, there's a paint shop called Other Side Customs that they did all of like Rick Fairless's bikes for that time, and they just needed a sander, so I went in there and just got a little $300 a week job sanding bikes, and next thing you know, I'm sanding Discovery Channel bikes and all these, Rick
and
Fairless.
Look what happened.
Yeah, it's like sucks you in.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean that was kind of what was going on for me. But what made me want to go into that was Monster Garage, 100%.
Oh, cool.
Because when Monster Garage came on TV, it showed me the cool side of what my dad did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't see it then.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you started seeing the Monster Garage and then the Motorcycle Mania on the ass end of that, I was able to see custom paint.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I always grew up drawing and I had a little bit of an artistic flair.
Yeah.
But it was never exposed to me through this high school, through working with my dad in a body shop.
Sure.
It just wasn't that. It was collision shit all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the Monster Garage for me was the thing that said, well, man, I kind of want to do this now.
Yeah.
And there's an opportunity to get my foot in the door as a sander.
Oh,
and then it's off to the races.
Yeah, and that started all the stuff now.
Yeah,
Monster
exactly.
Garage back in the day. I obviously wish they showed more of the paint work, but but it is what it is.
It's the same thing. Like watching Monster Garage, and then every once in a while you would see, watching the actual biker build off series. They'd have sometimes they'd have little segments of the painter doing some things, and it was always like awesome because I worked in a job that I could be on that TV one day doing this thing.
Yeah, and it was cool too because it showed people what it takes to do it.
Yeah.
Abbreviated version, but most people just see something finished and go, wow, they must just do that overnight. No, there's a lot of work in it.
It's crazy, man.
A lot of work in the paint.
So what was, backing up to like the mini truck and stuff, like, were you also a guy that built them for yourself and drove them around and things like that? Or was you primarily just doing the work on these things?
I did the work. I was the opposite. I had a big lifted Blazer on 44-inch tires.
There you go.
But I went to every truck run, and truck runs back then were the coolest place to be. Because once you come through the gate, you're kind of in your own little world. So if you were a drinker, you're not driving around.
Yeah.
You just go from camp to camp, see what they're cooking, what they're drinking, and the car show on the Saturday. But no, mini trucking was cool back then.
Yeah,
and it's coming back.
It is.
I see it.
Nice. Yeah. There's I remember when I guess the Mini Truck magazine, when they finally just stopped making them, there was like this huge RIP thing that went through social media and all that shit. So it was pretty wild watching that and seeing how. And as I've met people in the industry going, there's so many people that are here because of mini trucking.
Sure.
In the motorcycle side and in the custom paint side. So it's kind of like a lineage for a lot of people like yourself.
That's where I got my start.
100%. It's weird because I got my start where you guys were professionals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of cool to see that shit, man. But what was like the vibe like down here once, because I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question, but like I'm so in love with motorcycles that I don't really have a desire or an eye for other things.
Yeah.
Like when I was trying to learn how to do things, I would do a lowrider or I would do a mini truck or I would do this because I'm just trying to learn and gain as much opportunity and skill as possible. But it got to a point where like I just didn't have a desire to paint these other things because I'm not into them.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure. No, I totally get that. And if I had my choice right now today, I would only work on motorcycles. Just kind of business wise too. The money per hour in the part, it's way better on bikes.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you do a car like that one that we had at SEMA, that bully car.
Yeah.
There's 3,000 hours in the paint.
Yeah, it was wild. You could spend hours looking at that car.
But that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
3,000 hours. And I wish I charged shop labor rate. I would have bought a house. But,
yeah, for sure.
But a bike, like you're looking around in my shop right now, you take even a bagger and it's on a couple of tables. You take a car apart and now it's 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, exactly.
And man hours with hands. So you got to have some passion to do cars, I guess. But bikes are more fun.
Yeah, the bikes are, I kind of decided to do that. I never was good at painting cars. You know what I mean? And the muscle memory it takes to walk down the side of a car and do good paint work.
Yeah.
I think the last time I did anything automotive was probably 10 years ago. And now even doing bikes is starting to become hard because I do so many helmets now.
Yeah.
So getting back to the muscle memory of doing a saddlebag and knowing how, you know what I mean, the bigger surfaces and shit like that. So, but no, the car thing, the reason I asked is because like growing up, like in certain things, once I realized, okay, I don't think I'm gonna do this much more. And I start thinking about how passionate I was about doing it originally. I'm like, wow, that literally I do not feel that way anymore about this type of vehicle or this type of scene or whatever, So I would think if you're really a part of something like the mini truck culture and then motorcycles take over, I mean, it's good business wise, but there's got to be like there's still this passion for those old trucks and what you used to do and things like that.
When you say about painting cars too, I don't normally paint a car blue or white. They're usually the same kind of paint job I'd be putting on a bike. So there's still the fun part of it. It's not just all work. It's just on a bigger scale. But yeah, I've had the love for all of it. Motorcycles, trucks. I never got into the water stuff, but I've painted a ton of jet skis and watercraft because of being SoCal. Everything is right here. So you're kind of cutting your nose off if you don't try to get into everything. And all of those things, it seems like, I'm not going to say they have fad cycles, but they have cycles.
Yeah.
Like people are really into that. And here it's seasons.
Yeah.
But fortunately, you can ride a motorcycle here every day of the year. You might get wet once or twice, but you can ride it every day.
Yeah.
You can drive a convertible every day. You might have to put the top up. So it's nice to have it and to be able to work on all that stuff, So you kind of get into everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point because, like I said, there's so many things based out of here. I mean, even when like the hot rod stuff is such a huge thing here, and you got the Chip Fooses and all that shit, and it's probably, like I said, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm like just trying to like put my head in the idea of like being in that era, and there's so many different avenues to push your skills and honing it. It's got to be tough, you know what I mean, to be a part of so many scenes.
And having all of that stuff going on too, it keeps your edge hot.
Yeah.
And my kind of thing as a painter, I don't want to just think, okay, I'm an okay painter, I'm just going to settle in and just do this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to keep pushing it all the time. So like the best compliment I think you could get is, you painted that?
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, that's one of his.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you painted that?
That's a good way to
because it's
look.
something different. And
they think that you think that, or they think they know you and your style and your.
Yeah, because a lot of painters will settle in on something that they do well or they do a lot, and then they don't get out of that.
I'm guilty of that 100% right now. Because I'm guilty of that because I found a niche that I feel like I'm really decent at, and I feel like I can continue to get better at it.
Sure.
But adding a new element to it is kind of like it's kind of like a jump rope. You don't know when you're going to get ready to jump into it, And there's a lot of things I want to kind of polish up, but it's like, well, shit, I got 20 helmets to do.
Yep.
I don't know if I have the time to try the new shit on these.
Yeah.
So sometimes I would try to like do my own projects and use that as a chance to kind of more or less try the new shit that I haven't done yet,
Yeah.
But I know what you mean.
Or if someone brought something new in, like, hey, I have a pedal car.
Mm-hmm.
Now you go, okay, this is different. I'm going to do that. That gives you that chance to try it.
Yeah.
And you go, whoa, shit, that'll look good on something else too.
The other thing that I'm kind of worried about by doing it is that sometimes, like as an airbrush artist, sometimes you get someone that wants you to do something that you're capable of doing, but it does take, 40 hours on a helmet, 60 hours on a helmet to do that airbrush mural. And if you put it out there on the social media afterwards, there's a lot of people out there with money that'll pay that. And next thing you know, I'm having to do that. And it just becomes a much more labor intensive project that I like the other ones where we have roughly on my helmets, I usually have about 40 hours in the whole thing. Yeah. And I'm good with that. Well, if I start having 120 hours in a helmet, I don't know that I want to be every helmet has that, like the demand for the creativity that's going to go into that. It's just it's stressful. You know what I mean?
I hear you. Doesn't that trip you out to say you have 100 that many hours in a helmet?
I never looked at it like hours. I always just assume, like when you work in a body shop, everything's hour based.
Sure.
I never got into that because I've been in the custom paint world so long that I just said it was always like, I'll do that for $5,000 or I'll do that for $500 or whatever the case. But then when you start doing a lot of the same thing, you start to get an idea of, I think if you about 8 hours a day, and then I didn't touch it for 2 more days, but then another 12 hours this day. Yeah. And next thing you know, you got 40, 50 hours in one project. And then people are, of course, helmets in the world. We've been fortunate to build a customer base that pays good money for them. Yeah. But most people they're dropping off their bike that they're already paying a lot of money for. Yeah. So then they always come in with a duffel bag full of helmets. Like, hey man, go ahead and paint these too. That's how they used to do it back in Texas, and I hated painting them. But now it's better. 40 hours, man. It's still a lot of time in a helmet, in my opinion.
And are you doing more people riding on the street or race stuff?
Just riding on the street.
That's good, because when you put that time in it, it's not going to get messed up.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of created a most people collect them now. Like a lot of our customers, they collect them and they'll do one every year. Good. And then so they'll have this whole wall of helmets. And to me, it's awesome because then they're actually buying this because they want your art.
Exactly.
And not to say that everybody that buys a custom paint job just wants a custom paint job, but to me, like to have a bike painted by you would be like, fuck man, like I'm not getting rid of this. I'm not repainting it. I almost don't want to ride it. Yeah. And it gets to that point sometimes when someone like you has had so much of an impact on the culture of custom paint that you don't want to repaint. Like if someone brought that bike to my shop, like, hey, I just bought this bike, I want to repaint it. I'm like,
get some more tins.
I'm going to go ahead and take these tins off and keep it and replace your tins for you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the part of it that, I think is different. And also if you really think about it, man, like really custom paint's only a few generations old. You know what I mean? Sure. Like before you, maybe another generation. Yeah. That's it. And that's your Ross and those guys and the old school lowrider guys, Yeah,
it didn't come around until the 60s.
Exactly. So when we look at this whole world, it's very young still, in my opinion. So I don't know.
And it progresses fast.
It does. Dude, I mean, the 2000s went from like something like, everybody's doing checkerboards and the kind of the mini truck stuff. And next thing you know, realism airbrush starts coming out, the fire thing happened. And then the last 10, 11 years has been like a resurgence of the old school style, but with newer techniques the leafing and the striping has become much more dominant in our industry, you know?
Yeah, that's the advent of 3000 Trizac, where you can turn fake leaf, you know?
Everybody gets better at it all of a sudden. Dude, that's the same thing for me, man. But, you know, I tell people a lot of times, like, growing up in the 2000s and then finding your way working at more of the production custom paint shops that were around because of the chopper building back then, like, I was able to cut my teeth real quick because every day I was airbrushing a skull or a chick or a tiger on a tank.
Sure.
And every day it's a new project.
Yep.
And it's down the assembly line.
Yeah.
But we barely airbrush anymore. It's not really a very common desired thing.
That's
in the
cycle
industry.
thing, and that happens all the time. There's cycles of stuff, which is cool about flames. They come and go, but they're always there.
Yeah.
Always there.
Right now, we've been joking because this is the year of the flame for the motorcycle industry.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them started coming along last year.
Yeah.
But now, like, I'm doing more flame job helmets than anything.
Yeah.
And they really do just fit everything. They look bad. Jeremy did a sick ass flame job last year on a good buddy's bike, Performance Bagger. And it's kicking off, man. And FXRs are getting flames again. And, and dude, you've been doing flame. You're one of the kings of that shit. So those things are always badass.
Yeah, I always say that's my specialty.
Yep.
You know,
back in like I remember I used to flame out a lot of trucks back in the early 2000s, right? And, you know, in the early 2000s, from my knowledge, flames, you know, people were very critical on flames. You had to have that right look. Sometimes you could do the truck where you have a couple big flames and it still looked like Joe Martin used to do those real big, long, whippy ones, and it'd be like 5 licks down the truck. And then you get guys like yourself, a little bit more tighter, busy. And, you know, Van Diemen, I think, used to do some shit like that.
Yeah. I never got into the tribal-y tips and things.
Yeah. No. I tried that. I got a little bit of that, but
no. I've had to do it, but I've never been into it.
Yeah.
You know, if I had my choice.
Keep it traditional. No,
because a flame job should you should look at it from the front to the back without stopping.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have to stop when it comes back. You know,
it does create like a But like when I spent so much, I remember like I'd say I'm working for you, right? And I'd be out there sanding cars. You're over here flaming stuff out. I'll be honest. I used to come over here and take this tape and go home with it. Yeah. And then I would lay it out on my refrigerator. I'd practice laying out flames because that was a gloss surface that I had at home. Sure. So that I can learn how to do graphics because it looked so fun. I'd be sitting over there sanding but watching you. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I got really good at, my opinion, my style of flames. I got decent at it, and I used to do a lot of trucks like that because it was real busy. And then when the real fire thing, you do like the negative flames and then do the real fire behind it. And then I could lay it out, fire out a car, and then pinstripe the whole thing in a day. Oh, yeah. And take home a shit ton of money. Yeah. So I miss that stuff.
Yeah, and like my shop truck out there. Yeah. When I did that, we set up some GoPros in the booth and all that, and kind of did real time. And I did that, started with a black truck in the morning, and I was done pinstriping it at midnight.
Oh shit! Hell yeah!
Yeah, all in one day. That's way faster than normal. But I just wanted to, okay, you can do it this fast. Exactly. And I don't do any patterns. It's all freehand. Because the way I look at it is, the time you're wasting making a pattern and pouncing and all that, I'm done. Yeah. I'm done.
If you do flames though, I think you can eyeball them pretty well. You know. What about when you do like actual patterns and stuff like on the graphics and things? Are you still trying to keep it more eyeballed or?
No. Well, everything, like, I don't know if it's a curse or just how I paint. Everything on one of my paint jobs is increments of tape.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's always the same. And some stuff, like some Harley tanks, they're not the same on both sides. Yeah. One side's a little prouder than the other side, especially older ones. And then, like, that was one of the things that West Coast Choppers I had to deal with. All the parts were handmade. Yeah. They're not the same. So now as the painter, you get to like trick the person's eye, and the center of the tank's a little off, the filler is just a little off. So you do some kind of graphics that takes your eye away. Yeah. But yeah, when I'm doing like graphic kind of paint jobs, it has to be the same. Flames, if you look at it, you're not going to be able to pick it out. But if you put a dot at each tip, it's off an inch here, or that turn might be a half inch down.
I like the feel of symmetry, but I like the licks to kind of do their own thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the bulbs are there, like equal when you're looking down a tank or something like a chopper tank.
Yeah.
But then the licks kind of do their own thing, and they kind of.
Yep.
That's where you get a little bit of.
And that's what makes it look good. It's
Yeah.
it's. I'm not going to say natural because it's not natural. You painted it, but
Yeah.
it flows like it's supposed to.
Uh-huh.
There's no stopping your eyes.
Exactly.
Which is nice, you know.
So what was how long and what was it? I mean, trying to think how to word this. How was it going through? Were you still working at West Coast Choppers when everything kind of went to shit over there?
Yeah, I was there till the day it closed.
For real?
Yeah.
How was the vibe? Like, I mean, we have to talk about what happened, but you know, just with him like up and moving to Austin and all that shit. Like, how did that leave you guys?
He was already pretty much in Austin
Mm-hmm.
the last year the shop was open.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and at that time, because the shop closed October 2010,
Mm-hmm.
and that probably the year before that, the choppers went off a cliff.
Yeah.
A year or two, they didn't slow down; they went off a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, we don't have the line of customers anymore because it's not cool to own a chopper.
Mm-hmm.
Whether people had money or not, it wasn't just a cool thing anymore to have a chopper.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of our customers back then, they didn't even ride their bikes.
Yeah,
They just owned it.
Yeah.
But you could tell it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, totally tell. Without going into details, you could tell it was coming.
Yeah, so it was easy to kind of realize, okay, I need to start figuring out the next move, the next step.
Yeah, and I was actually at that time I was working on a gold, like a pagan gold 32 pickup.
Mm-hmm.
It was called Gold Rush,
Mm-hmm.
and I was doing that as a side job at night and on the weekends when I would come home from the shop, and I just went straight into doing that full time
That's good.
and got my own thing going again.
Yeah, that was it's crazy because there's a lot of people that were actually involved in the West Coast Choppers that are kind of still part of the industry, like Hoffman, and I think they're one of the Track or Die guys down the street is a guy that used to work there, and
Yeah, and one of the other motor builder guys, Aki, has
Mm-hmm.
his place, and Chopper Dave's still
Yeah,
around,
yep.
and a couple of the guys that were doing the fab work, which were the guys building
Yeah.
the bikes, you know.
yeah,
And they're working at various shops around here, and you know everybody's doing their own thing.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
Andy that used to work for me there as a helper, he's the painter at Hot Rods and Custom Stuff.
that's the Flying Iron, right?
Yeah. Another guy, Andrew, he's got his own shop in Orange County. So
Yeah, man, it's cool to see all that stuff. Like people take those opportunities and blossom from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I always say that at any given time we had some of the best guys in the industry working there.
Oh, for sure.
You know, so those guys don't go away. There was some clowns that worked there too, just because of what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're just tail waggers that would do anything anybody said.
Yeah,
And who cares what they're doing now? But the people that did the skilled work, they're all doing their own thing.
yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
what was like? Sorry, it's early. I'm still waking up. We drank whiskey quite a bit last night.
In Oceanside.
No, well, like I said, man, it's like there's just so much that you've been a part of with these different areas, and you know, what was it like being on TV? I mean, was that like a weird vibe for you, like coming from this stuff, or did it feel kind of normal? Or
I think the thing that would be the weirdest part about TV is redoing things or all the waiting to do something. Because when you're working and doing something, you don't want to stop because some guy says, "Hey, hold on, we gotta get someone to catch this."
yeah,
Come on, dude, I'm on a roll. I'm doing this.
yeah,
Or, you know, having a camera around's not that big a deal because if you are a custom painter that does a lot of car show stuff
Yeah.
and particularly striping,
yeah,
there's a crowd around you the whole time.
for sure.
So you can't get nervous and you can't worry about someone watching you, but it's the whole hurry up and wait, or hey, don't do that yet because we have to get these guys set up over here before you
Yeah,
paint
before you
that
start,
line. You know,
finish
come
it.
on, man, I want to get this done.
Did it ever get to a point where people would recognize you on the street? They were just like fans of the shows and shit like that?
Yeah. But that's part of the thing about them not showing the paint as much, you know, so you don't get pounded in that. But people that are into the paint part would go, "Oh, you're that guy," which is super cool.
I was sitting down at a hotel bar in Texas with Ryan from Counts Customs, and the bartender goes, "You're that dude," and I'm like, damn, I didn't even know people watched that show.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's way lucky because he's more than the painter there.
Yeah.
Now he's a character on the show, which, you know, the more time you're on there, the more people are going to recognize you.
Yeah, I just think it's just crazy that you know, it's easy for like guys like us to be recognized in the motorcycle scene or the car scenes and things like that, or as painters, but when people that aren't really in that scene start to know who you are, then you kind of cross that barrier.
Sure.
And that's where I think it's like kind of real celebrity status.
Yeah, and that's why that whole, you know, I always say let your work speak.
Yeah.
Because when that goes away, you're done, you're gone. For sure. Unless your work is there. Yeah,
but you've managed to kind of, you know, maintain this and keep, I mean, like I said, the things that you, I mean, continue to put out, like this one sitting here is this for San Diego too?
Yeah.
Like the bikes that you've been doing for them for the last, how many years you've been doing those bikes? It's been quite a while.
Since they started.
For real?
Yeah.
And I mean, shit, dude, some iconic bikes over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they're cool guys because they know that that's a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of guys put way more effort into brakes and forks and engine, which everybody has that.
Yeah.
But when in a car, when you walk up to it, like your bike out in front of my shop right now, looks killer out there.
Yeah.
I don't even care what's the motor or what kind of wheels are on it. And I'm not even going to remember when I walk away.
Yeah.
That's what you see. And that's what you're going to talk about. So they understand that. And they just say, hey, you know what? We want a subtle gray bike. Do your thing.
Well, that's good. Well, that's one of the things that we're dealing with. I think that's been kind of plaguing the performance motorcycle industry is it's like people, you know, like they don't want to go full custom because they want it to look like it's got purpose and this, that, and the other, carbon fiber, blacked out, blah, blah, blah. But then it gets boring. Yeah. You know what I mean? When everything looks the same. And I think that now that performance baggers and specifically has kind of crossed over to where more people are painting them, like San Diego, like Jeremy at Lucky Strike, you're getting much... It's making this whole style more appealing to customers, or riders that want to have nice bikes because they can have something that really does.
Yeah, and everything like the performance bagger thing, in my eyes, it's already reached the pinnacle of you can't get it any trickier than that. Yeah. So now to make it stand out, paint job comes in because you can only have so much Olin suspension. You can't go any better than that. You can't get any better brakes than are out there. Yeah. You can't make a bigger motor than's out there. Yep. So you can have a line of 10 of them. They all look the same. Yep. Just like Black Dynas, 5 years ago, they all look the same.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing. So I was trying to tell people a couple of years ago when this stuff started to kick off, I was like, once the real customization starts to come into it, the painters, the seat makers, even the fabricators start getting a hold of these bikes, you're going to get it's going to get wild and crazy. You know what I mean? Just like every scene does. But right now we might have another year or two, maybe 3 of.
No, we're molding the frames on baggers now.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. Even though only a little bit shows, but it looks so much better. And that hands have been on it now. Instead of just going through the catalog and buying all the raddest parts you can get and bolt them on. Yep.
That's good.
They all reach the point of they're all the same.
Yeah, they do. And I think they're starting to kind of branch out. And like I said, what San Diego's been doing with those bikes. And I think that, Chris, I think he was having you do an FXR from New York. Yeah, I met that dude.
The tattoo guy.
Yeah, dude. I was hanging out in his garage. He's like, yeah, Hot Dog's painting my FXR right now.
I've painted 3 bikes for him.
Yeah, that dude's rad,
and
man.
I've never met him. Which is super cool.
He's an awesome guy, man. Like his garage is like, he's got like, in New York, they have a lot of separate garages from the houses, and it's just a bike and all this memorabilia from all this bike culture shit and all these magazines from like Japan, hot bikes and stuff. I was nerding out, hanging out with that dude at his house and going through all his shit.
Very cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and the one that I just did for him, he's going kind of back with an FXR where it's more like pro street style, not lifted and tall T-bars, He's got short bars. And
did you flame that one out?
Yeah, it's all candy and pearl orange.
I think I saw he had a picture of it at the time. It was back in September-ish, something like that.
Yeah, in fact, he just sent this dash for it.
Right there.
He wants us to paint this flat section orange instead of being black.
That's cool.
Yeah, but he's got chrome wheels and motors all polished.
Yep. How long have you been getting like that out of state work? Has it been something that you've always done, like being able to work for people nationwide?
Always. Yeah. And that's what's cool about bikes is put them in a box and ship them.
Yeah, it's kind of new to us. We've only been doing the shipping stuff and getting the out-of-state work for about 4 years now.
Yeah.
But man, it's so much better because the locals are always the penny pinchers and the ones that don't want to, fork out any money, or they want a deal because they're a local guy. Or
it's a little tougher when it's a big bagger.
Yeah.
Especially shipping it back.
Yeah.
That's when it gets sketchy. When they send it here, everything's piled in a box and it doesn't matter. But
what I would tell them to do on the baggers, it's kind of easier for me because I'm in the middle of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's like 1,000 miles. But I just say, like, dude, it's cheaper if you just bring the bike.
Yeah.
It's actually cheaper if you just ship the bike and we take it apart, paint it, and put it back together, because you can ship a bike through a shipper for like $600 one way. Wow. And I don't know about here all the way to New York, but like in Texas, it's like $600 everywhere.
Okay.
But that's one reason why you should probably get out of California.
I know, man. I'm there now. I more than have the itch. I'm trying to scratch it now.
How do you feel like with, in the paint world, when they started when was it when they really started cracking down here with the low VOC paint, pushing the waterborne stuff? Like, how long has that been going on in the SoCal area, or just California in general?
Well, I'm lucky that I don't do collision repair, because in that world, it's been like that for a while. Like, they pretty much, nope, you can't use this anymore. You have to use this. Me being, I call it low usage, I can get away with using probably things I'm not supposed to use.
Yeah.
And it turns into availability. Like, it's hard to get it, which sucks. And it's only Southern California.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Any state around here, you could probably still buy lacquer.
You got to meet someone at the border and just get you a pallet.
Yeah. And it's sad because my usage is so low. I'm not putting out a lot of material. If I do a car, it might take 6 months to paint a car, a year to paint a car. So it's not a body shop that's putting out 10 cars a day, just pumping through. So I think those rules should kind of like get filtered down to the smaller guys.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
The same rule for a collision repair shop that's got 100 employees and they're putting out 1,000 units a month, Same rule applies to a one-man shop that paints helmets. Exactly,
and that's one thing that I've talked about a lot. In about 2004, they made it real hard for paint shops to be, they made it to where like all those little mom and pop shops, they were just basically throwing water on the floor and plastic up. They couldn't do that anymore. They'd have a booth and the fire suppression, all that shit. Yeah. And the process to go through the city to get all that shit approved just got deep, like, permits and and it kind of permitted people out of business. You know what I mean?
That's the statement right there. I kind of say that. You get permitted and feed right out of business.
Yeah. And so, like, with here, like, I know it's been just stricter because of the already overpopulated area. And then with paint, like, when waterborne started coming out and everybody's trying to push it in the custom paint industry, and it just, it's like, I wasn't even that old when it came out, but I was already like, I don't want to learn a new system. Like, going from lacquer to urethane had to be a change that some people didn't want to have to make.
Well, the urethane base coat's almost sprayed like lacquer.
For real.
And in the custom world, it comes down to a lot of like time frame, because water-based, there's no speed to it, and when you're like laying out something, you spray color, you want to get right on the next one. Yeah. Just because you're excited to see what it looks like, or at least I am. Yeah. Not just trying to get the job done, and you can't do that with water. They've done things to make it where it goes a little faster, and I do a lot of metal flake paint jobs with Candy, and PPG has a really good water-based system. But on like a metal flake paint job with Candy, the candies just aren't there. So I'm not going to do it on a customer's job. Yeah. I would do it on a panel to try it out or whatever, but just that thing right there is enough to not use it. Yeah. Just that one thing. But on everything else, it's awesome. So their solvent has to be the thing. Exactly. But solvent's illegal.
See, I wonder if that's going to actually sweep across the country, like 100%, like at some point in time. Usually California is like.
I figured it would have by now if it was going to.
That's a good.
But point. I think California, there's a big thing of we're going to make an example of this place. Yeah. Which hurts the smaller guys. You might look good in the grand scheme of things, but it's not friendly to a small shop at all.
Yeah, and I feel like this whole state is much more built on small businesses.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more. It feels like being here. There's a lot more mom and pop style businesses than chains.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's like in Texas, you know, you'll be driving down the road and there'll be a shopping center full of all the restaurants that you see in that region. You know, the Chili's.
Just as long as there's a Rudy's there.
Yeah, there's a Rudy's and shit. You know. But then here, it's like, yeah, I know that they have it, but it feels like more areas don't have those big Walmart kind of vibe things out here than they do out in the Midwest and shit like that.
Well,
so
it did a year ago.
It did.
You know, no, I mean there was more mom and pops.
For sure, yeah.
I don't know if they're all lasting this whole time.
I don't know how the hell people are managing out here. I mean,
yeah,
we kind of like managed to just stay the same, but you know, going to eat, things like that changed. But like as far as going to work every day, it shit was normal as ever. But out here, when you're hearing people saying like, yeah, my business wasn't essential, so I just didn't go to work for 6 months.
Yeah.
I'm like, how the fuck?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people that did that, they probably chose to at some point.
Yeah.
Like they're getting some kind of relief money or something, but I didn't, so I had to be here every day.
Yeah. My wife's a barber, so they closed down all barbershops, so she was able to get like unemployment for a while. But yeah, man, I can't see how that was how people were able to survive and do that shit, you know? But
I don't know.
But then again, it's like I've had one of my best years ever financially last year, painting bikes and helmets for people. So it's like I don't know what to take of it.
We've been swamped the whole time.
Yeah,
you know, I'm behind, which is good.
I think we're always behind.
Yeah, no, I'm like more behind now. Like there's, and I think I might have had a little too much of bringing something in where I shouldn't have.
Well, I mean, it probably was.
I try not to do that.
Yeah, it was probably kind of like one of those, you know, situations where you might want to hoard the work in just because you don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't know how this is going to land, so you want to know that you have the work, and you never know if these people are going to continue to have money over the next 3 years. Like having a lot of very well-off customers usually means they have a lot of businesses that are putting them in that situation that if that goes away, that could fuck them too, you know?
Yeah. And I can't wait till one of the highlights of being in SoCal is all the shows and events.
Yeah.
And that's not happening.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened in a year.
That's one of the reasons why we wanted to come out here and do these podcasts is because I felt like, you know, California just they didn't get the opportunity to kind of do anything or be no shows, no events, no way to show off what's going on, talk about what's going on. And so I felt like, fuck, let's do a whole coast run.
Yeah.
You know?
And the fact that you rode out here, which is even cooler.
That's just part of the gimmick, I guess. You know, the riding. Last year we came out here in January in the car with the wife and just went and saw family, did some podcasts here and there. But I had never ridden through San Diego or that southwest part of the United States.
Sure.
So this was a chance to do that, plus do podcasts. And like after we do this podcast later, I'm meeting up with some guys and we're going to go ride some of not the top mountains because they're all covered in snow, but go hit some roads and kind of go get a vibe of this area.
Oh, cool.
Riding wise. So that's the weird part is like, I love riding more than I like paint. Like, you know, it's one of those deals where like when you're a painter, especially when you're coming up, I feel like so enthusiastic to get better and get skills. And then like, when you're done doing the work, you're like, man, I got some free time. I want to work on this panel.
Yeah.
You know, I used to be that way, but now I'm like, fuck that. I'm going to ride and have a beer with the buddies. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to get back into that mindset of wanting to do, you know, panels and art and things like that on the side. And it's been lost for me. It's been a job for so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you're having fun right now. I kind of wish I could more. I'm trying to get to that point.
Yeah. You know? Well, the downsizing, you know, my shop's real small, but I could easily go bigger and have more employees in a bigger shop and do more stuff. But then, you know how that's like, man. It's a constant like struggle to keep up with the paychecks, with the rent and the taxes and bills, that all this extra money coming in. You know. Yeah,
I think especially if I moved somewhere else, I wouldn't have as big a shop. Yeah. But then it might be cheaper to have a bigger shop. But then you run into the headaches of having to be there all the time and cover it. And when you have a space, you bring in stuff, which means now you have to work on that stuff. But it'd be kind of cool to downsize a little bit and then have my own projects. Like that 49 Chevy in the corner is my car. I'm building a West Coast Chopper CFL chopper, you know, shovel head thing. Just picked up this wacky gull-wing van thing,
Projects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like doing it, which is bad.
Well, I think it's cool because like it's progressing, man. Like my dumbass is out there drinking beer, not doing anything cool.
Yeah.
Like that. Like it's like there was a meme recently that was going around where it was like people making fun of you for picking up that car, but then giving you shit for saying you have all this money whenever you finish it, but it's all these years of work you put into it,
Of course.
But yeah, I don't know. There's things I want to get into. Like I've been wanting to build a chopper for years.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I have the patience yet.
Yeah.
Like as like my age and how like hungry and driven I am. Like I don't know if I have the time to put the kind of effort into it that it needs to have. Like that 3,000 hour car. Like there's no way I could have ever done that. I would have either did a really good on the fender and it slowly got worse the entire time.
Well, that one right there too came from, because I've painted 4 vehicles for the same guy. Mm-hmm. He's the one that owns that gold 32 pickup, which is super cool truck. Mm-hmm. And then when he brought that Model A sedan in, he said, I don't care what you do, just has to blow away the truck.
Yeah. He
gave me kind of a palette, 3 or 4 colors to do. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of went on me to do it. So a lot of that 3,000 hours, sadly to say, I donated, because I got into it. Like, I'm not going to say, hey, I have, 40, 100 hours in your seat.
Yeah.
You owe me this much money. I got into it and thought, okay, nobody does this. Nobody paints the floor.
Exactly.
And it makes it, you're fired up to do it.
Yeah,
plus there's not going to be another car like that for a long time.
That's a legacy piece in my opinion. That's one of those things that, in 50 years, like people are going to look at that paint job and that work and go, wow, like this was, something that everybody.
That guy was fucking crazy.
Yeah. What drugs was he on? But no, like that, I saw that thing at the PPG booth, probably, I think it was 16 or 17. Can't remember.
Yeah, because we had that.
I think it was 17.
Impala there the last year they had some, so it was 2 years before that, so it would have been 17.
Yeah, and that was when I first met Jeremy, and we were walking around the booth, and I was looking at that, and had a really badass like striped out like logo piece on the deck lid in the back, and just looking inside the car with the floors done and the seats done and the dash. It was insane, man. And to inside the fender wells or on.
And he's selling it now.
Oh wow, what's he asking for it?
I have no idea. But man, it's some brokers handling it. So
broker.
Who knows what's going to happen with that?
Maybe someone will trade him a skyscraper for it.
Yeah, and it'd be cool if whoever ends up with it shows it off.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Is it one of those things that you built it and it kind of stays kind of hidden all the time? Yeah. Those suck.
Yeah, and I painted a lot of things where they disappeared. They're just in someone's garage or their collection.
Yeah. I would say like last year, I did a lot of bikes leading up to Sturgis, and I was real stoked because we were going to have all these bikes there, and I was going to be like, fuck yeah, I'm going to be the guy that has all the cool paint jobs this year. And then one by one, oh man, I can't make it. I'm like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
That kind of hurt my pride. I thought I was going to go in there and
and there was a time when I'd get bummed about that kind of stuff, but I figured they paid for it. It's theirs.
It's theirs, yeah.
I can't complain.
So what do you think about like the just in our custom paint industry, the classes are becoming a very common thing. You were talking about doing them here too, and how do you think that? How is it different now than it was in the early 90s and early 2000s with learning custom paint, learning this stuff? It seems like a lot more information out there now,
Yeah, and back then, it's like the tattoo world was that way too, because I tried messing around with that for a while, and nobody wanted to tell you anything. Like everything's a secret. And I think when people act that way, they're a little afraid.
For sure.
Because if you're good, or you're going to be good, you're going to be good, whether I help you or not. But the way I look at it is, if you ask me something, I'm going to tell you, because later on, you're going to figure it out anyway. If you have the passion to do it, you're going to go, that hot dog dude was a dick.
Yeah.
He wouldn't tell me. But instead, they're going to go, man, he was cool as shit. He told me, and you might run into a job that you can't handle. I'm going to call him and help me out.
Yep.
So there's no secrets.
That's
No
the way I
secrets.
feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I came into the industry, it was like this. If I worked at a paint shop, I was his best friend. He
Yeah.
loved me. But if I didn't work there, you would have thought that I stole money from him, that I did the worst thing you could possibly think of.
Sure.
And a lot of people were like that in the industry,
Oh, yeah.
at least in Dallas. And then
They're still like that now.
here, yeah. But like you just said, what I feel like has been taking place with Instagram and social media is like building relationships with all these painters across the country and sharing knowledge. I think it's helped like evolve the skill level
Oh yeah.
heavily to where, there was a point in time where only like 3 people knew about using the Trizac
Yeah.
to spin, and there was like trying to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
And then it finally came out, and
Sure.
people were just like, you see a picture and you start zooming in on it and dissecting, trying to figure out what they're doing. But
yeah, and that right there, a small part of that could be they didn't want to take the time to learn how to do real gold.
mm-hmm,
Because it's way harder to do that and make
yeah.
it look right.
exactly.
Where the Trizac on the imitation stuff, you could walk away for a day and come back and do it.
Exactly.
The real gold, there's a window and it's timing, and you just fuck it up if you don't do it right, and you wasted all that time and work.
And that gold leaf is very expensive.
Yeah.
So I've tried the gold. I got okay at it, but the look that you get with the Trizac now is just, I think that's what people are expecting now because they've seen it online, and I know that like yourself.
And some people do it so good it looks fake.
Yeah, it does look
Like the vinyl on fire
yeah.
trucks now,
But guys like yourself and Lucky Strike, I think they still you still use the gold, right? Like true gold, a lot of the jobs.
Yeah.
So you have that experience and that skill, and
Yeah.
you know that window, and it's second nature to you.
Yeah.
But me, man, like it would take me a couple months to get it back down and figure out the process.
Yeah.
And so
and I don't do a lot of it.
Mhm.
Now, especially like your style paint job, people
Mm-hmm.
are asking for that stuff, which looks awesome.
Yeah, well, like with my style, I try to tell people like, I think we all do this, right? And I think you said you were talking about this a little bit on the San Diego podcast, that it's kind of weird because a lot of people will do a paint job that you've done, like a younger, not as experienced, like they're like, oh, that looks badass. I just want to try to do that.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It sucks when that happens,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things that like it's always going to happen. It always has,
course.
right?
Yeah.
And when I think about like when I finally started developing a style that I think is more mine, I didn't realize that I was doing that because I had spent a lot of my life trying to do something like, like you, or have try to get that look down, not necessarily copy it verbatim.
Sure.
But like, oh man, I like how you layered those three grays right there, and then try to like use it and make my own thing. But obviously, you can see the inspiration came from that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've had big name painters completely rip my shit off.
Oh yeah.
Like people that are teaching classes and getting all the free shit from the companies.
Yep.
And I'm like, how the fuck why would you, like, you know what I mean?
That's the paint whores I was talking about.
Oh man. It's to me, when someone else knocks off my stuff, or like with the Simpson helmets that we do, we've kind of created a style, which is like the portrait, the saying, that has become like synonymous with our brand.
Yeah.
But I've never done a bandana thing on a helmet, and I won't do one.
No, I won't either.
Because that's somebody else's kind of thing. Or, Boosted Brad, so Brad's got a style that I would never mimic because it's very synonymous to him.
Yeah.
And it's taken time to get to this point where I'd say like that's my look. It's kind of like a race helmet from the NASCAR and a flaked out lowrider old school hot rod. They met at a bar one night and had sex, and then this is the love child from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I look to look.
No, that's cool. No, and the whole style thing too, that evolves too. And it has to, or you get stale.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like right now I'm getting to the point where I'm looking for a new flavor to add to the mix. That way it'll reignite me again. You know what I mean? So when you figure out some new lines, you're like, fuck, like this is a whole new world of ways I can lay this across the tank. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And like I said earlier, that's my lot in life as a painter is I want to keep pushing it, not just letting it happen and settling down, trying new things. Like with those San Diego Customs bikes at the beginning, I wanted to push it, and I said, give me all these parts. Give me the swing arm. Give me the primary. Give me motor parts, where nobody was doing that.
Yeah.
Now I see people are doing it now. But I'm not going to say, you're copying me.
Yeah.
I'm saying, okay, cool. You see how good it looks.
Yeah. Like
Decorate all of it, you know?
You've kind of started a trend with that, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks so much better because you could take the coolest billet swing arm in the world. That guy can have the same one. That guy can have the same one. Now you detail it a little bit, and wow, that's a one of a kind now. You know, that's how you have to look at every part.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, because I noticed that you would do all the primaries. You said you were even inlaying some carbon fiber on certain parts like that.
Yeah, on the primaries, on derby covers, on air cleaners. So you would walk up to and go, "Wow, where'd you get a carbon fiber one?" You need to know someone.
You need to know someone,
and you can't tell that it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Absolutely, you cannot tell that it's not.
Well, that new trick. I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why I've tried to stay away from painting carbon fiber bikes, because there's not every piece doesn't have, and they want the exposed carbon, but then I don't like the whole okay, well, there's everything carbon fiber, and I'm gonna do a fake carbon fiber. And
no, it looks like shit.
Yeah, it's crap.
I mean, people say it all the time. Oh, you can get a wrap, you can get hydro dip, you can airbrush it.
Still
you cannot. You cannot. No chance can you mimic carbon fiber.
Yeah, it's too.
When you see the real stuff.
It has it reflects light in different ways.
And it's 3D. It's like down in there, and the weaves are all different. And it's kind of cool when the weave has a little shift to it. And you can't do that with a stencil.
Exactly. It's too perfect almost.
Yeah, and it just doesn't look right. And people do it all the time. And I thought, shoot, I'm going to figure out a way to put carbon fiber on the parts. And now Curtis is making a tank overlay. Yeah. And now he's doing the outer fairings. But say, Jeremy's doing a lot of those knee cutout tanks. Yeah. You're not going to make a carbon fiber piece for that. Yeah. So we add it to the knee hole. And then once you blend it all in and feather everything out, it looks like that tank's made out of carbon.
Yeah. That's the new way to go, man. I think that's that because carbon fiber parts in general, just to get the full kit is very expensive. Yeah. Then you throw a paint job from yourself, and then you're in another big area, and then you take these parts that don't come with carbon fiber, and that's a lot of labor intensive stuff to get that.
A lot of labor.
Yeah. Yeah. So, when people think about $100,000 bike, they don't realize how much this shit, how quickly it adds up, with the labor, the skill, and things like that. You know what I mean?
Just the amount of parts on a bagger.
You did that bike for San Diego a long time ago, obviously. That the Chrome one, the Chrome King, or the Chrome Dyna.
Chromeo.
Oh, Chromeo, yeah. Fucking wild, dude. That thing is beautiful. Yeah. The color balance of everything, and I've always liked your style where you have the simplisticness of it, of a traditional almost outlining panel. Yeah. But just having the thicker and thin areas. Yeah. Where maybe that back graphic is it's a 3/4 inch tape versus. You know what I mean? It creates a nice.
No, I like that.
Subtle.
And I think even back on that San Diego podcast thing when they were talking about paint jobs, and the thing that drives me crazy is, especially when guys are trying to do these lowrider-ish panel paint jobs. I'm not going to call them lowrider because that kind of paint was around before lowriders. But like metal flake panel paint jobs and all that. My statement is, don't do everything you know how to do on everything you do. Exactly. And man, so many people do that, and it just destroys it.
It does.
It just destroys it. And I say, if you would have stopped a day or two earlier, it would have been awesome. But you went in and fucked it up.
Exactly. So I actually got that same advice when I was doing a lot more lowrider stuff in the late 2000s. Because once the chopper thing was gone, I got into lowrider shit. You know, doing hood murals and things like that. And I was doing shit for a shop that comes out here to LA and hosts big shows, Tours Empire. And the guy was like, "Hey man, because I was stressing out because I was painting a 59 Impala, 59, and I was like, they have the baddest lines on that thing to do panels on top of, and I was real stoked, and I was kept looking at it, and he could tell I was frustrated. I was like, man, I don't know what else to do, man. There's so much more space, and he's like, you don't have to do everything on this, sometimes less is more, and that's something that mini truckers definitely didn't know that early on. But that's what created that whole style of paint. You know what I mean? And then you look at as people get older in their style, they start doing less, and it becomes cleaner. Yeah. And it becomes more classy, and it becomes more balanced. Yeah. And then that's when I feel like you get professionalism at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And on a bike, The hard part is making the bike look good.
Mm-hmm.
You can make a tank look good. You can make a fairing look good. You can make a fender look good. But when you do all that shit all over everything, the bike looks terrible now.
Yeah.
That tank might have looked okay on the table.
Yeah.
Put them all together, because most baggers, unless you're going to do one of those big stretched out ones with all the aftermarket parts that flow, nothing on a Harley flows.
Exactly.
Nothing. You know, bags and lids maybe, but that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's one thing I've always done. It's like your bikes you have sitting here on the center stands. Like this blue one, I would do the same thing in my shop and pull it out in the middle, get a little roll around chair, lay out the designs on the bags of what I've kind of sketched out that I want to do.
Yeah.
And then I'd sit there for, 30 minutes, an hour, and just kind of roll around, stand up and look at it. That way you're like seeing how every line comes from the top of the lid down to the bag and how that looks with the tank lines.
Yeah.
And then the interfering, how that comes around. That way you're like finding out, because I always think of it like when people are walking up to your bike, that's when most people are going to look at the details of your bike.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of paint it for that.
Sure.
But then also on the sides of the bikes, I always imagine like, what if we're driving down the highway or riding down the highway and you look, or someone's driving, they look out the window and they just see you, rocking it.
Yeah.
How does that paint job fit you as a rider now?
Yep.
So there's a lot of these different angles, these things that you're thinking about, and you're thinking about later on once it's all done, and how does it all come together? And I think that's those kind of things that I know that you do that make and separate the paint jobs that are on your level from someone that's just doing everything they can on a tank and making it busy.
Yeah, and when you nail that right there, it's almost like subconscious. You think, why am I looking at this bike? Why do I keep coming back to this bike?
Exactly,
and that's when you nailed it. Mm-hmm. If you kind of go, if you have to turn your head sideways when you're looking at it, you messed up.
Exactly. You're trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
it's like
you messed up.
Jackson Pollock painting or some shit.
You messed up. Like, what was he trying to do here? Is that part off another bike?
Yeah.
And a lot of people do that because they just try. I know how to do all these fish scales and tape fades and fan patterns and water drops. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean you have to do them on everything.
I've gotten to a point now where, so to give you a little context with me, it's like in the 2000s, we were doing tribal and affliction style looking shit on bikes, right? So that's where the airbrush came in.
Yeah.
And then it kind of turned into the big wheel bagger thing, which still had a lot of tribal, but it turned into more like that Screaming Eagle paint job tribal where you had your two tones and shit.
Yeah, and they had a body that flowed.
Exactly, so things can kind of connect from front to back. And then out here, the panel paint job started to grow heavy on like the Dyna FXR culture and the chopper culture.
Sure.
And then I was like, I'm not getting. To me, it's easy. Mm-hmm. Like as someone that's doing all this crazy beveling and fading on a tribal design, like I look at like just laying out a square on a saddlebag, like that's not fucking hard. Yeah. And it took me 4 years to say, fuck it, I'm gonna do one.
Yeah.
And then like what was fun about it is that you could do that easy shit and just panel out exactly, or you can find new shapes in it. Yeah. Which is I think what you do on things, and as you start going down that path, you start looking for shapes within the shape and how it flows, and next
thing you can change the shape of a part by the panel that you set on it.
Exactly. So it just kind of, at first it looked like easy shit, and that's why I think so many people got into it, because technically there's a part of it that is easy. But then there's these next levels of like the U's, the Jeremy Lucky Strikes, the Andys, these guys that are finding new ways to do panels and raise the bar, adding in the leaf or adding in airbrush. And I'm sick of fucking fish scales. Oh yeah. If I don't have to do another one of those for the rest of my life, I'm good. I'm kind of sick of skulls, but I haven't had to do those very long.
A lot of times when people are doing the fish scaly kind of stuff, they do it too dark. Like they use black. And then try to put a candy over it. You just ruined it.
Yep.
You ruined it.
Yep.
I'm
gonna stop doing that now.
You ruined it. No, I mean, you don't though.
No, you got to find the right color that works. That doesn't overpower it, that fits it and blends with it.
Or when people do black drop shadows on things.
Yeah. We usually make like a candy black, so it has like that bluish purple.
Transparent,
and that way, as you're doing it, it's not harsh, because if you take, like if you get black flames on a white background and you do black underneath it, that black turns into gold and muddy looking.
And when you really break it down, a shadow is just a darker shade of what it's on.
Exactly.
So if that shadow crosses 6 colors, all 6 of those colors better be just a darker shade of that color.
Exactly.
So, like we'll do it with, black and reduce it 200%.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like gray, like
watery gray. Watered out, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of nuances to it though, and I think that's where that comes with people's like time doing it. So like initially you go buy some paint stuff and you want to start doing panels in that style, and it does look simple. I'm gonna get a stencil, spray this.
Yeah.
And then they do that and it's all good. But then now how do you clean this up, tighten it up?
Yeah.
How do you take that simple ass design and make it look professional? And that's where like experience comes in and understanding colors and things like that.
Yeah, and when you talked about time too, the time it takes to make it look like that, because like my shop truck, the flames on there where the licks overlap.
Yeah.
That drop shadow's masked. It's a hard line, which a real shadow would be. So you look at it and you go, why does that look so good?
Yep.
But it takes a lot of time to come back and do all that to try to mask things instead of just running an airbrush by it.
Yeah. I need to start doing that.
When you do it once, it'll make you look like you can reach down and grab it.
Yeah. I've always just done because back in the day, we'd always just carry the airbrush with that drop shadow, but it does look so much better when it is kind of crisp.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's a little bit like a fuzzy drop shadow looks like it's too far away.
Yeah. And I learned that a long time ago from actually that cool art teacher I had in high school where there's 2 kinds of shadow. There's a like a cast shadow, which would be a drop shadow, and a form shadow. Mm-hmm. A form shadow has a soft edge, but a cast shadow, it's got the hard edge from what it's being cast from. Yeah. So if you have flames overlapping, it's going to be a hard edge.
Good point.
You can't do it black, but you try it one time and you'll go, holy shit, I'm going to do this every time now.
So you were talking about doing your classes here, and you said you were going to do like a 1-day pinstripe class and then a 2-day next level custom paint class, like as far as like people already know how to paint, but they're learning the custom.
Yeah, and the biggest reason why I would do as a custom paint class is obviously there might be guys that are custom painters that maybe I'm going to be lucky enough to show them something.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of, and I'm going to call them, body shop painters, which isn't a derogatory thing. That's just what they do. They work in a body shop painting cars all day.
Yeah.
They already know how to adjust a gun. They know how to mix paint. They know how to spray it.
Yeah.
But they look at magazines or they, look at you ride by on your bike, go, man, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
But they're there all day working. They're not going to get a chance. They're going to come to the class. And those guys are everywhere, across the country. And if you show them one cool trick and they're at home painting on their buddy's thing, it lights a fire under them. And they're going to keep going.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going that route with the teaching thing. And what I was I think we were kind of talking about before we started the mics. I'm just nervous about doing it because I don't know yet if I can relay what I know how to do through words and through actions yet.
Yeah.
It's almost like I want to do a free run, or not a free run, but like come help someone else do a class.
Yeah.
And see, and like watch them and then see where I can kind of come in and show things and see if it works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's part of what's kept me from wanting, or not wanting, but I've wanted to a long time, but kept me from doing classes for so long is because I want to make it worth it to the person too.
Yeah.
So I want to know that I'm teaching them something. And luckily the last year or so before all this COVID shit started, and they were doing the custom classes at the PPG Training Center up here in Ontario. Paul Stoll, who was the instructor, awesome painter, killer guy, he asked me if I would come help. So I came and just helped him. I didn't teach the class. I was just like a teacher's aide.
Yeah.
So there's an extra set of hands and help people out. And just doing that, I think I did it like 6 times. Coolest thing I ever did. And when someone just goes, oh, cool, I get it now.
Yeah.
That's worth it right there. And I want to make sure that if you came here and took the class, you're going to leave with, and the hardest thing would be not too much knowledge.
Yeah, yeah.
Because a lot of the classes, they try to cram so much shit into that class that you leave and you don't know anything anymore.
You don't know where to start.
Yeah. So keep it basic and simple and let you build on that. Same with a pinstripe class. Some of these ones I've seen where it's a class for beginners and they're trying to teach them how to do gold leaf too.
Yeah,
You can't do that.
It's like they might try to do that because they want it to be like more bang for your buck kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the truth is that you really need to get this down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. And a lot of the stuff, which especially pinstriping would be that way, is it's a tool.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to use the tool before you make something. you can try other things to be fun, but that comes way later. Same with, I wish I could do just a class with masking tape.
Yeah.
Never even touch a gun.
100%.
There is so much in masking that most people don't get or don't do right. Or
you can, I've always said, like, if you can lay out tape and that tape looks badass, then the next layer is going to look badass.
Yeah, or knowing how, if I build up this much tape, I'm going to spray and pull. And when I'm done, I'm done.
It's a faster process.
Yeah, you know, and a lot of times I'll refer to myself as a custom taper, not a custom painter.
I do the same thing. Yes, sir.
Know? Yeah, with your style paint jobs, for sure. It's a lot of layout, a lot of masking, I try to avoid back masking, so I kind of paint back, like reverse.
Yeah.
I'm building up all the tape and I'm painting and pulling, especially when it's a candy paint job.
Yeah, for sure. You don't want to have to retape all that stuff.
No.
Would you say that, like, you've ever been the guy that when you walk up on other people's paint jobs that you're trying to, all right, they did this first, they tape, you know what I mean? Like almost dissecting.
Oh no, I break them down to layers. Yeah. That goes back to that point of there's no secrets, because if you have the potential of being good or you have the passion to want to figure it out, you're gonna.
Yeah.
Like I can look at pretty much anybody's paint job and figure out how they did it.
Yep.
It might take a little while, but I'll figure it out. So if I say, hey dude, how did you do that? Nah, you know, okay, screw you then.
Yeah, exactly.
You just burned the bridge.
I think, yeah, that's a good point, because, you know, there's so many other aspects to, you know, learning how to paint. And one of the things I was talking with my dudes over at Paint Huffer about, because they're starting to do classes too. I was saying, well, there's also this other thing, and a lot of other artists have been hitting me up about it. And I think that the photography and how people are starting to show their work, because we all have our own little magazines now with social media, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where most people see your work nationwide.
Yeah.
You know, the shows are there, but, you know, the shows aren't everybody in the industry to see it. So almost like a class that's teaching you how to portray your work to the public.
Sure.
Maybe it's a little bit of like basic photography knowledge to use your cell phone, but just the business side of things. Like maybe not the financial business side, but the promotion business side. I remember back in the day, Craig Frazier had you ever been on that, like, that used to have that forum, that custom culture forum lounge?
Yeah.
Well, he also had like some blogs that he would put out, and he would talk about like how he got in magazines and how he used to send the photographers letters or emails and show them his work, and then they would come out, because the photographers were the guys that were also looking for things to shoot to get paid in the magazine. Oh, yeah. So it was kind of like the easy in instead of hitting the editor up. And those kind of things, you know, used to be a lot more. It was in those chat rooms and those forums and stuff. Yeah. We don't have that anymore. No. You have to kind of have conversations like this, or ask people, or ask a favor. Hey man, I know you're with PPG. Can you give me a contact, or let them know that I'm a call, and you know, tell them I'm a good guy or some shit. You know. Yeah. But there's just so many aspects to it, man.
Oh hell yeah! And that whole social media thing, I need to get a little more savvy on that, because on my Instagrams, most of them are hot dog pictures.
That's true.
I go, quit doing that and put some work out there. But part of the curse of that is, I have a shop rule, 100% lockdown solid. I don't post anything until the customer says it's cool. Yeah. And some guys do that. Like, they'll post it as they're working on it, and then I would never want to be a customer and go, hey man, I saw my stuff on Instagram. Yeah, yeah. So a lot of things are in the works. You know, like this paint job here on the table, I can't post a picture of that until that bike's complete, and it might not be together for a month. You know, so some people might go, wow, it doesn't look like you're doing much work. Yeah. No, I just can't post pictures of it. And
yeah, I get that. I definitely get that, because I know that if I was to do work with certain people, that would be the issue. Yeah. I think a lot of my customers want me to post it because they end up getting followers off the shit. You know what I mean? Sure. But it's just a difference. Like if you're building a high-end bike, I think there's two ways of looking at social media. There's that end that you just said, where I completely get it. You want the unveil to be the biggest wow factor. But there's also the other end where you're showing tidbits of the build, and it builds up anticipation from these people to see it, whether it's teaser photos or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. It gives people like a kind of a, oh man, that's going to be cool. It gets their brain going and thinking about you more and more and more and more. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Social media is this weird beast where it can be used for two different things. Or It could be bad. It could be good. Guys like you have already built a name for yourself nationwide, worldwide, before this shit came along. You know what I mean? Some of us have to use this thing to our advantage in a different way so that we can kind of, have that opportunity or get to that level that you are. You know what I mean?
But sometimes it like kills you, because I did that road glide for that MJK dude up in Canada, the baby blue one.
Yeah.
It took a year for him to finish that bike, so I couldn't post a shot.
Oh, shit.
Going, man, it sucks. I want to show people, I can't do it.
That was a wild paint job, man.
That bike's
Everything was done.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I get that part. So like your way of you're telling me that, like I completely understand that. Yeah. But like I got into photography simply to shoot my own shit, because when you give it to the customer finally, you get that shitty photo of it and you're like, fuck man, like I wish I would just shot it myself, and then I'd have that artwork and I could use it on my website or this or blah blah blah. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of different angles to that shit, man. Like finding a way to do it.
And it's hard to get going on that stuff when you're working all day.
Exactly.
That's why I hear there's times when you're supposed to post. And go, what? What do you mean there's a time you're supposed to post?
There is, man. There's a bunch of little nuances like that you're supposed to kind of follow to get the best engagement from your photo and your audience. And it's like, I think that there's two ways. Like social media can be a good insight to you as a brand, and it could just be simple, like the hot dog posts on Wiener Wednesday, I think it is. Yeah. Those things are fun to watch because it shows people like the human side of your brand. You know what I mean? And, the other thing I tell people all the time too, is like, you don't have to have a bunch of followers to be a professional. No. That's not the threshold of success. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so like, I've always told people that like, I've had the best opportunities in my life with less than 1,000 followers. Yeah. You know what I mean? It just, as you grow followers, you get more exposure and you can find better customers.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had people, they'll go, man, you should be so impressed with your followers. And I think, it's like 20,000 or something like that? Yeah. And I go, I see people with 120,000. And they go, no, but yours are organic. And I go, what do you mean? They're looking for you. Yeah. You don't hashtag the shit out of things and link to things and all that. Exactly. And I said, okay, that's better. And they comment, not just you have 1 million followers and no comments.
Yeah, you get like 40 likes on a picture.
Yeah, no.
No, it is good.
So I'm learning that part of it.
There is that part. I mean, there's a lot of people that even buy followers. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it gets to a point where that buying the followers is so that you can put up a fake facade. Sure. So that either customers would think, this is a complete contradiction of what I just said. Yeah. But so they think that you're more professional, or you're better than you actually are, but at the same time, like you can have no followers and be 10 times better than everybody. Yeah. But there's this like weird social currency basically that goes on with followers and all that shit, Who knows, man?
It's new to me.
I think that my generation, I'm 38 years old, and I feel like I'm
58.
Yeah, so 20 years difference. I feel like we were some of the last ones that got to experience the 90s and how you had to do business. Yeah. The 2000s, and now the last 10 years of all social media stuff, right? Sure. We understood the importance of magazines. We understood the importance of going to cruise nights to show off your work. Yeah. And now it's like literally it's more beneficial for my brand now to just get good pictures of it and put it online than worry about it ever making it to a bike event. Sure. Because the online hits, hundreds of, lots of people, right? Yeah. Bike show, 100, 500 people maybe. Yeah. Or 50,000 people online.
Yeah, I think the shows and the bike nights and all that are good for local stuff. Yeah. Because all the time doing this, I've realized that people are fickle, where if you're not in their face, they forget, and then there'll be two other guys at that bike night and they go, let's get him to paint something. Even though I don't necessarily think I need to be there to get the job, I need the name Hotdog Kustoms out there still, and I go, wow, look at this guy's stuff, so local, I get it, but nationwide, no, like, and social media versus even I have a website that I don't think I put anything new on it in 6 years. Yeah. I go, why do I even have a website now?
I got a website that has no pictures on it.
Yeah, because Instagram's a free website. Yeah. And it's nothing but images. There's none of the social bullshit. And
yeah. That's why I liked it a lot. I mean, we've been talking about Facebook a lot lately on here because of chat rooms on there. Were you ever in like the Chopper Dogs and all that shit back in the day?
I was one of the moderator kind of people, just so I could, if I saw something, I could chime in because they wanted to talk to people that worked there. And, you know,
those type of chat rooms I think have a chance to come back and be relevant again, because Facebook kind of killed all those forums that were like their own places outside of social media platforms, and they're just horrible now. It's like, even if it's like a specific scene, I'm in one for bikes, paint jobs. I'm in one for camera shit. I'm also in one for like live streaming.
Okay.
And it's the same. Everybody's the same in all of them. They're all people that ask the same questions over and over again.
Yeah.
And everybody like gangs up on them and, you know, talk shit to them, and, you know, it becomes a
keyboard warriors.
Yeah, you should have already known. We all know that. That's old stuff.
Wow.
Why are you using that? Like, that's not the question I'm asking, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fucking toxic place.
No, I'm learning about that. I'm learning.
Fun times.
Uh-huh.
So this year, man, are you looking to get out to do more stuff, or is it just grinding nose to the ground, you know?
Gosh, I can't wait for anything to happen again.
Get out, yeah.
Watching Born Free get bounced around, Grand National Roadster Show, the Big Good Guys show here in Del Mar got bounced around 3 times now.
Have they landed on anything with Born Free yet that you know of?
The last I heard, and I heard it from Chip and them down at San Diego Customs, that it's in August.
August?
But then I also heard that if they don't let them do it in August, they're leaving the state, which I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
But August puts you right up with Sturgis.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a tough one, because Sturgis is kind of like, even though it's...
But I don't think the same crowd goes to Born Free and Sturgis.
To an extent, you're correct.
Yeah.
But...
either one wouldn't lose anything, I don't think. But then, how's it going to be? That's the big question. You know, if they even let them do it.
Yeah.
Are they going to make
only
have this many people in that venue? Or
Yeah.
everybody have to wear a mask? Or, you know?
I don't think a lot of people are going to want to go to that.
No.
If it's that case.
Yeah.
Yes,
I just heard Disneyland's going to open up here next month, but 20% capacity and wear masks and...
Yeah, that's going to be a shit show.
Yeah, so might as well not be open.
It's not the real experience that you're wanting to get when you go to Disneyland, you know?
No.
Well, that's interesting, because, you know, in a sense, I do agree that it's a different crowd, but I think Born Free is a good entry-level thing into the biker world. Not saying it's an entry-level show and it's not an important and massive show. I think it's an easy show to go to.
Yeah.
Sturgis is in the middle of fucking nowhere. It's not cheap to go there. You have to take time off to get there, to do it, to experience it, to come home. And so for the motorcycle industry as a whole, that's like the SEMA for everything. Like you go to those shows, they're important, they're big. That's where brands go.
But Born Free has a crowd.
It does, a huge one.
But I mean, it's that crowd. It's not all the hog chapter people and the people that just love taking their bike out across country. It's that crowd, the chopper guys, I'm living in the 70s. You know,
it's definitely,
which is awesome. It's the coolest show to go to.
It's one of my favorite shows. My first one I ever went to, I was a little indifferent about it, but then the second time I came out and did it again, I loved it. I had a great time, and I'd go every year if it doesn't infringe on Sturgis because of the...
But I think it's at the end of the month.
Yeah, if it's at the end of the month, it might be more palatable, you know. But
Sturgis is the beginning of the month, right?
Yeah, the very first week of the month.
Yeah, no, it's the end. I think like something like the 20-something-ish, you know. So.
And now we have this BRL stuff, the Bagger Racing League, and they're trying to turn that into a massive show as well on top of the racing, you know, with Ness and those guys coming in and starting an actual bike show aspect to it. Yeah. So there's only so many times or so many dates in a year to do things, and you know, it's ideal when you're here, and Salt Lake City's only 300, 400 miles, 500 miles away.
Yeah.
But when you're in the other part of the country, you know.
Yeah, and here being in California, they can plan all they want. Are they going to let them do it?
Yeah.
Other states have been doing car shows the whole time and bike events, and you know.
Sturgis happened. It was the first. Sturgis was that when we have campouts we did our camp out right at the end of. Right when the country shut down, it was like
I've
2
never
weeks.
even been there.
Yeah.
All the time I've been doing this.
Dude, Sturgis is amazing. It's everything there. You got, like you said, your hog chapters, all your Hell Yeah brothers, and there's that for sure. But there's also there's, you know, as you look at all these vintage chopper lovers and these different people, like, they kind of are attracted to this allure of right now. Like, it's the vintage, but it's also the what's cool now thing.
Yep.
Sturgis is like motorcycle history.
Sure.
And it's like you go there and you get the hamsters, you get the Sturgis itself, you get the club world, you get the custom shows, it's just everything, you know. And Born Free is dope because it's everything that you're into in one spot. And Sturgis, that shit's spread out everywhere. Yeah. So you can't really find one hub of a place that has that Born Free kind of vibe. Yeah. You know? Born Free is dope. And riding from Texas to California to come, you know, hang out at Born Free for those 2 days, but also be in LA to go do the other things, go ride some of these passes. Yeah. It's an awesome show. If it ends up moving out of this area, I just wonder, you know, if where could it go that's going to have the same draw, you know?
I don't know. But I'm sure they have to make that call. Can we do it, or do we do it somewhere else? Yeah. You know? It's
going to be a tough one. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to that. SEMA, I heard, was a go this year.
Yeah, but how's that's going to be, you know?
Yeah, that's hopefully because
capacity
it's in Vegas. Hopefully, I feel like they should be completely open by then.
I would think so.
I feel like with, like, you know, Texas right now just opened up. Mississippi did too. Florida's been open. I think that
South Dakota's open.
Once people see that it's not spiking, it's not doing anything crazy, or they're going to see it's going to happen, and you can't just do it. You said the
magic word, people. It's not people doing it though. It's the ones in charge. Yeah, that's what sucks.
I think that it'll just be obvious that, like, you can't. It's one of those things that's just going to be a part of our society forever. But this can't be our society forever.
No.
You know?
No.
And so I hope that with Texas opening up and giving people the choice to wear a mask if they want, giving businesses a choice to say you have to wear a mask or not. Hopefully the rest of the country will just jump on board and we'll get back to that normal feeling and get these people out of our, you know, out of our livelihood where they're telling us how we have to do it.
Yeah. No, and I feel totally lucky that I've been able to go the whole time. Mm-hmm. You know, there was at the beginning there was a little like fear of somebody going to come in here and take me away if I'm at my shop. Yeah, you know,
put a black bag over your head.
Yeah, which is dumb.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a wild one. Well, shit, man, I appreciate you doing this, dude.
Hell yeah.
So they can find you at Hotdog Kustoms, where you have pictures from 6 years ago.
On the website, or Hotdog Kustoms on Instagram.
And you're out here in Temecula for everybody that's looking to get some awesome paint
have
work.
A custom paint shop in Temecula, California. Love it here, but I'm also hating it here now.
Yeah, love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
She's a really pretty, hot girl that is just dumb.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, and telling me I can't do anything or get anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I appreciate it, man. And San Diego or Hotdog Kustoms on Instagram as well.
On Instagram,
right? Yeah. Cool. I appreciate it.
With a K.
With a K.
Yeah.
Old school like that.
Hell yeah.
All right, thanks, bud.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man, I had a great time talking with Pete. Hotdog Kustoms, man, legend in our industry, legend in the custom paint game, and can't thank him enough for the time he spent letting me know a little bit about his story and you guys. So check him out, all the things that you just heard, and also don't forget to check out our Fast Life Campout. It's coming April 22nd through the 25th. We're gonna have a great time. You should be there. You should be making plans to be there. You should be linking up with all your homies and telling them about this ride you're about to make across the country to come party with people you never met before. That's what good times are made of. So hope to see you guys there. We're going to see you back here on this podcast real quick. We got another great one coming out with Track or Die. Those guys are pretty rad. Had a good time hanging out with them. And I'm excited to let you hear that podcast. So we'll see you back real quick. Peace.